Welcome to the Best of Beaver County, presented by St. Barnabas, a weekly segment dedicated to putting the focus on the amazing things and the amazing people behind them in Beaver County. The Best of Beaver County is sponsored by and content is provided by St. Barnabas. The show airs every Thursday from 11 to 11:30 on WBVP, WMBA, 99.3 FM, and Facebook Live. Now, with no further ado, let's welcome host Mike Romigh to introduce today's program.
Good morning and welcome to the Best of Beaver County radio show on the St. Barnabas Radio Network. I'm Mike Romigh. St. Barnabas is a trusted name in healthcare. The St. Barnabas Health System has grown to become a visionary leader in providing quality care. It's been founded in 1900. It was a charitable nursing home at the time. St. Barnabas now spans across campuses in Allegheny, Butler, and Beaver counties, where an array of unparalleled health services, from skilled nursing to extensive memory care activities and programs, are offered. Additionally, the medical center has world-class doctor and dentistry teams where patients can receive a full range of services under one roof that also include rehabilitation, home health and home care, hospice care, and palliative care. Building upon its heritage, St. Barnabas continues to reach those in need and live out its mission through individual and institutional services that promote the health, education, and social needs of others. Men and women are invited to join the work of continued Christian caring, healing, and teaching, and along with St. Barnabas, bear witness to its founder's reminder, God is able. May 8th was National Student Nurse Day. So as we recognize and celebrate with all whom have chosen the both challenging and rewarding career, talk with a couple of student nurses and an instructor from the Beaver County Career and Technology Center. Join me in welcoming Jen Price, Nicole Todd, and Anthony Erbaugh. Thank you all for coming in. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
National Student Nurses Day. How long have you been in the programs? Now, when we talk about the Career and Technology Center, you come to it, you're still high school students, correct?
Yep. Yes.
Not you. No, you're the instructor.
I am, yes.
You've been through this before.
Yes.
All right, so high school students, you're seniors?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. So you know already that you want a career in healthcare.
Yes.
Yeah. And how did that come about? Let's start with Anthony.
So how it came about is actually from my father. There was this, I guess you can say they were doing like a career thing at my school. So my dad, we were doing like it was an open house at my school. So we were going through all the things. We went into the library. They were talking about the health at the Beaver County CTC. Mm-hmm. So we were introduced to them. And then whenever I came to the open house at the Beaver County CTC, I loved it. And I knew I wanted to go there to try to get an education in the health field.
Okay. And as far as you're concerned?
So my grandma was a nurse before I was born. She retired. And a couple years before I started at Beaver County CTC, my cousin actually went through the health occupations program. So that was kind of what set the ball in motion for me to join and what motivated me into the nursing pathway.
And so with Career and Technology Center, how's it working out for you so far?
It's good.
Pretty satisfied?
Yeah.
With it? It's one of those professions, and I know you don't believe this, but I'm old enough to have worked in the steel mills back in the 80s. Shocking, isn't it? The idea that back then there were people who were saying, you know, when they were getting laid off and all that, get into the healthcare profession, because they don't lay people off in the healthcare profession. You're always going to have work. Have you heard that, and is that something that you talk to students about?
Yes, I said you can go into anything medically related. You don't have to be a nurse. You can be an aide. You can work in dietary. It's still something in the medical profession, though. Mm-hmm. You could be a doctor. You could be a nurse practitioner. Anything is possible. Registration, X-ray. There's so many different avenues that you can go down.
Is there a particular discipline that either of you is interested in? Is it too early to tell?
I know, mainly I just want to get, my RN and get that out of the way, but I was looking into, pediatric nursing, because I enjoy working with kids.
Okay.
It's enjoyable to me.
Sure. So pediatrics, not necessarily maternity?
Yeah, I'm fine with either. It's just, get my foot in the door, see which one
Okay.
I'm more comfortable and which one I work best with.
And I would assume that would change over the years, over the time where you get into this and you say, oh, I didn't expect that to happen.
Yeah.
And then you find something else, critical care, emergency rooms, places like that. Tell us about it, Andrew.
Anthony.
Anthony.
So what I want to do is going to the trauma. Like I want to be a RN, go from there, and then if I like being in the ER, working there. Because when I was like 3 or 4, I got a scar on my forehead. I was taken into the emergency place, going from there, and that kind of started my little spark into wanting to go into trauma. So that's where I kind of want to go from there, and then if I like it, maybe try to become a trauma surgeon if possible.
Okay. Could you tell us at Career and Technology Center, what aspects are there that they're learning right now before they go into the program to be, whether it's LPN or an RN?
Yeah, so they learn, it used to be the Certified Nurse Assistant program. We've recently changed it last year. It's Patient Care Technician. So they'll come out, PCT.
Okay. PCT, okay.
Yeah. So they'll come out and have the possibility of taking a certification so that they're job ready. And that's the goal, I think, of the entire CTC is not necessarily, we can be a stepping stone, but we can also be the foundation of a job for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Interesting. Great. Anthony and Jen, are you interested? Are you volunteering now? You're working at other jobs that are going to keep you involved even when the curriculum and say the semester is over?
So currently right now, I'm not working in a healthcare like field position, but we are doing clinicals at Passivant and Zillion Opal right now. So that's kind of getting our foot in the door before we graduate and introducing us to what it's really like hands-on with patients and residents.
For me, I didn't have that clinical experience. She's in the AM and the PM session. So the AM did the clinicals. We unanimously decided not to for the PM session. But I don't have a job currently in the healthcare right now, but I'm working retail, which gives you that customer experience, like customer service skills that you would have to need with patients.
Demanding.
It can be.
Customer service and patient care can be very demanding, right? Stressful, right? Okay. And in terms of going forward into these different levels, you will be working on the floor in some of the hospitals as you go on with your education.
At some point, yeah.
Yeah. And in terms of who the different facilities that you have to choose from, anything in mind? I mean, we have Heritage Valley here in the county, and in Swickley. You were talking about Passivant. There's AHN. There's a number of different facilities around.
I know I haven't like focused in on one yet.
Okay.
So I haven't. I've been looking into Heritage Valley, like you said. Then because that's the main one. There's also UPMC that I'm thinking of, but Heritage Valley is most likely going to be the one that I go into.
Talk about your expectations as far as college is concerned.
See, for me, I feel like it's going to be a well-earned experience. Like as Ms. Todd said, we had that stepping stone for here. And then once we move on to college, we're going to have this greater experience just to further our education. So that my expectation is just to...
What about as far as the classroom is concerned and book knowledge that you'll have to learn? There are many aspects to it.
There's a lot. We've already touched on, I don't want to say a lot because there's a lot more to nursing that we'll learn in college, but like we've already learned like infection, like assisting patients. There's a bunch of stuff that we know. But like I expect it's going to get a lot harder. I know that.
In more depth.
In more depth, yes.
Advanced chemistry, biology, those kind of things.
I would imagine, yeah, they would probably have us do that.
Yeah. Do you have to, I mean, in order for them to get into the Career and Technology Center, is it something that they have to be working on now in their high school years?
So they have to, we look at their grades, we look at their attendance to get accepted into the program. I feel like my program, though, we give a little bit of A&P, we do a little bit of math, we do a little bit of English, we do all of what you would get in your homeschool, but it's all medically geared, which I think is
helpful,
more helpful, and gives them the upper hand for whatever they do.
How did you go about setting up the curriculum for this program?
So we have to follow the state in some aspects of things, but also I've only been the instructor there for, this is my first full year, but I've been there a year and a half. So like I'm still learning the ropes as well. But I take a lot of experiences that I've had, or the good and the bad, and kind of teach them how we get through it together. So I think it's a learning process for all of us.
Do you get any input from some of the professional staffs out there in the hospitals?
Yeah, so we actually have an advisory board that sits on our school that we have meetings twice a year, and they actually tell us what is going on in the field currently. I still work casual just to keep up with my skills and the ever-changing guidelines and requirements in nursing. So like I try to keep up. Yeah.
Gets involved with it.
Yes.
Yeah. And as far as what you can offer them as a peer in terms of the education and going in a particular direction, what kind of recommendations or advice do you give?
I say stick with it. It is probably going to be the hardest thing that you will ever do, but it is also the most rewarding thing that you will ever do.
And just, I think a couple days ago, not 2 weeks or anything, just a couple days ago, that they had a graduation at CCBC.
Yes, they had their pinning, and graduation.
That's a proud moment for student nurses.
Yeah, we actually had, I think, 4 or 5 alumni that have gone through the program in the past that actually got their pinning and their nursing degree last week. So it was very appreciative.
Do you tell them that, listen, as soon as you get pinned and you pass the boards, you're going to be working? Yeah.
And I try to run my classroom as if it was as close to a clinic setting as possible. Like we follow HIPAA guidelines that we don't talk about anybody, because you never know if somebody knows somebody, and then it gets back to them. So even just teaching them those little things that kind of not brush them off, but it's just as important as physically taking care of somebody, is that dignity and respect for that patient.
Yeah. And over the past couple of years, dealing with COVID and those sort of things, I guess if you're just getting into the nursing program, you're seeing all this going on around you. And the overtime, some hospitals were offering triple time for their nurses. And we often heard of nurses being on the front line, and they are the essential workers, especially in the hospitals. That has to make you feel like, as you get more into this program and turn a professional, that what you're doing is very important to people's lives.
It is. It's really important because you're their support system when their family can't be there. So you care.
Yeah.
It's nice to know.
Most definitely. And as far as the education is concerned, once you get into, once you go through the clinicals, the hospital, you put your months in as a student, you graduate, then come the boards. That is a highly stressful aspect of getting to become a nurse. What do you tell them about that? Because a lot of people go through this whole thing and the boards trip them up.
Yeah, I told them recently, because they took their certification for the patient care technician, and then they had a standardized test that they had to take for the school, all health related. So I was telling them, I'm like, this is the basic of how just to learn how to take a test is half of the battle. How can we answer those questions? They know the basics of what a disease is, but on the boards they might ask you, they have this disease, how are we treating it? So we have to go that extra level. So I think my priority, at least in high school, is to help them answer those types of questions.
And a lot of it, once you're on the floor, you're on the job, and much is expected.
Yeah, it is a lot of on-the-job training. Like, nursing school teaches you the basics of everything, but every day you learn something new, no matter how many years you've been a nurse.
Certainly. Okay. We're talking with student nurses. May 8th was National Student Nurse Day. We're speaking with the students from the Beaver County Career and Technology Center. Our guests are Jen, Nicole, and Anthony. And we'll continue our conversation about nursing, the importance of it in our community and in our lives, as we continue on the Best of Beaver County radio show on the St. Barnabas Radio Network. Of the many things that make St. Barnabas Health System apart from the ordinary is an appreciation for their employees, an act that does not go unnoticed. Let's learn more about what this means from one of their employees.
Hi, my name's Susan Elleteri. I'm a registered nurse at St. Barnabas. Our team is responsible for the excellent care of our residents. Tending to their specific needs is very important. We pursue compassionate care, hard work, and kindness, and it is an extremely rewarding career, and I'm very grateful to have nursing as a career. It's extremely rewarding. We can acknowledge the goodness in our life, and I do believe that.
Find out about the exceptional career opportunities St. Barnabas has to offer by visiting stbarnabashealthsystem.com/careers for more information, or by calling 724-444-JOBS. That's 724-444-5627. Find out why St. Barnabas is apart from the ordinary.
January 31st.
And you're listening and watching the Best of Beaver County radio show on the St. Barnabas Radio Network. In the studio today, we're celebrating National Student Nurses Day. It's National Nurses Week all week long. Student nurses joining us today are from the Beaver County Career and Technical Center. Our conversation continues with Jen Price, Nicole Todd, and Anthony Erbaugh. Jen and Anthony are student nurses, and Nicole is a nurse instructor. As we start this segment of the program, can you walk us through a day in the life of a student nurse?
Get up, roll out of bed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because for me, I go in the morning.
Okay.
So I don't go to what we call homeschool first. I go straight to VOTAC. And then from there, we're there for about 2 hours from start to finish. And it just depends what we're learning that week. Like this week we have lectures and we had a test today. And then next week we're doing physical hands-on skills. So it's different every day that we're there.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about the day in your life.
So for the PM session, I go to my home school first off. So we go there, we do our normal classes, and then we drive to CTC. When we're here, we do our daily attendance grade. We have to get all dressed up. Like Ms. Todd said, our clinical setting, we have to wear our white shoes, our smocks, we have our little badges, and we have to go further on with her, we have to do our work. Like she said, our week here, we did like a central nervous system. That was our test today. And then either week we have different things, like could be endocrinology, could be cardiology, so on.
If I ask you to take my pulse, could you tell me what my central nervous system was going through right now?
I don't know about that, but I can tell you if you're normal or not.
I can tell you about your cardiovascular system.
Oh, is that right? I can tell you if I'm normal or not, but this is your show. Nicole, tell us about some of the things that, with respect to nursing and a nursing career and the decrease of the nurses. How long has your tenure as a nurse been?
I've been a nurse for going on 8 years.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
It doesn't feel like it was that long.
Yeah.
So I graduated, I'm an alumni from CCBC. I got my ADN from there. I've done a variety of different jobs. I've done floor nursing, I've done home health, and then I did outpatient nursing. And every single one of them I loved, just in a different way.
And you followed in the footsteps of family members, haven't you?
I did, yeah. So I was telling the story, when I was 12, my pap was on hospice, and my aunt is a nurse. And she took time out of her busy schedule after work one day and came and gave my pap his last bath. We didn't know it was his last bath, but like her doing that, I was like, wow. So that definitely impacted me.
You have to be compassionate.
Yes, 100%. And then I don't know if you remember Aliquippa, the Aliquippa Hospital.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yes. My mom worked there my entire childhood. So we would go visit her and like, wow, this is really interesting. So I definitely think I knew for a while that it was in my blood.
Well, that's good that your mother didn't say, no, run the other direction. No, she encouraged you.
Yeah, I feel like she did it right alongside of me. Like she doesn't have her RN, but she definitely was my support person that I needed.
Yeah, well, many of us still today, many of our viewing and listening audience miss the Aliquippa Hospital. It was a big part of many families' community out in that area.
I worked with a lot of them when I graduated nursing school, and they described it as a family, and they still keep in contact. So it is really nice.
Yeah, very much so. Could you tell us about all the different disciplines in the nursing profession? RNs, LPMs, CNAs, NAs, nurse practitioners.
Yeah,
there's so many.
There's thousands. You can go. The basic is you can be a caregiver. You can just go into somebody's house and take care of them and do their activities of daily living. And then, like, I call it like a stepping stone or a ladder. I talk to them about it. Then you can be certified, and then you get a little bit more skills. And then you can become an RN and get even more skills. You can become a nurse practitioner, and they actually prescribe medication. You can be a PA if you wanted to be. You could be a doctor if you're ambitious enough. You don't have to just, we had registration, we have cardiology. There's so many avenues just in one health system that you can do.
Yeah, and nurses impact life from birth to death.
Yes.
Nowadays. And that continues with the expansion of, you said, home health and hospice care and places like that. And if you're a family member, as you will be, and in the nursing profession, they'll turn to you. Your family members will turn to you and ask, what should we do? They'll give you calls and say, this is happening. Can you tell me, what are we supposed to do? Should we run them to the ER or whatever, right?
Yeah, I definitely think that nursing is a lifestyle, not just a profession. You are, like you said, you're always, I'm looking at you and I could be assessing you and you don't even know it. Like, we are always on the job, per
Glad
se.
you're not assessing me.
But it's always like you're always on top
Sure.
of your game.
Yeah.
Because you never know what's going to happen.
Right. So you're at dinner sometime and somebody looks a little pale.
Yes.
And you think, that person needs the Heimlich maneuver.
Yes.
You got to go over and do the Heimlich maneuver on them.
Yeah, or I witnessed my dad have a stroke right in front of me.
Oh, my.
But I knew what to do.
Yeah.
And that was hard too, stepping back, because not only was I a nurse at the time, but I was also that family member. And it's sometimes hard to differentiate the two.
I was going to say, how do you switch hats like that? Or,
Yes.
you just go into action and titles don't matter. You know what to do and you've got to respond.
Yeah, it's either that, it's that fight or flight response. Either you're, let's do it, we got this, and then break down later, or you freeze. And either one of those is okay.
Yeah. When everybody around you is losing their head, anxiety and everything else, panicking, you have to be calm. You have to, really even try and settle those people down while you're administering to the patient, as it is. Interesting. And what prompted you to go into teaching after all these years?
I always knew that I wanted to do some sort of teaching. I took a couple education classes before getting into the nursing program, and then with the pandemic and everything, I was like, it's time for a change. And then I found this job, and I was like, wow, this is something totally different, but still rewarding. I am still helping people. Instead of them being patients, though, they're students.
And how do you encourage in terms of other high school students, because we're coming to the end of the school year now, when you're looking to get other students involved and interested in the nursing program at Beaver County Career and Technical, do you go out to the schools and talk with the students?
Yeah, we have a special department and person that actually does all of they can come tour the facility, we can go to their home school, as we call it, and recruit people should they decide that they want to come. But my word of advice is you have to be willing and you have to want to work hard, because it is hard work.
Yeah. It's not just something that you can go in, punch the clock, and punch back out.
Yes.
You're going to have your stressors involved. So if we were sitting here right now and say Mark Piccirilli started to have a bloody nose, would you know what to do with it, or or if Curtis over here fell and cut his arm, would you be able to administer to that and say, oh, you better get out to the hospital, you need stitches? Are you at that point yet, or is that part of the learning experience?
So we know we're stop the bleed certified. So let's say if someone's bleeding out in front of us, we'll know what to do.
He just has a maroon shirt on.
Yeah, he'll just die right in with it.
He looks healthy though, doesn't he? He's getting a good tan. He's got a lot of sunshine compared to me. But so that's just part of what you're learning. And Nicole, do you ever forget that?
I forget that they're high school students sometimes. I do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, why? Sometimes I think, why aren't they comprehending it? And then I have to remember, because they are 17 and 18 years old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's a learning curve, I think, for both of us.
Yeah. I mentioned to you before we went on the air, my wife is a nurse, my son's a nurse, my sister is a nurse. My son, when he first got into it, he wanted to fly in a helicopter, the life flights. But he's 6 foot tall and about 230 pounds, and he found out soon that you had to be very small to be able to fly into those things. And Anthony, you want to get into emergency care.
That's right.
What is it about that fast-paced world that attracts you?
So I feel like I work good under pressure. So having that, don't want to say this, but it's like that excitement of these patients always coming in, we have to help them. That's what interests me mostly.
Mm-hmm. Life or death decisions that
Yes.
are going on there. Do you watch many TV shows about hospitals and emergency rooms and things like that?
Many.
Sometimes.
Yeah, you have a favorite?
We're watching Lenox Hill right now,
Oh, I saw that.
and it's
Very good.
pretty good. Yeah.
That's real time inside New York. Is it New York or Chicago?
New York.
New York.
Yeah.
New York Hospital. Yeah, I watched that. That's fascinating to see that kind of stuff. And is it real life? If you go back and talk to Jen, do you say, "Wow, you should have seen," and they did this, or Nicole, and wow, will we do that kind of stuff? No.
No, we would not do that kind of stuff. Maybe some of what the nurses are doing, but not with the surgeons and the doctors. Like,
But that's okay, because the nurses are the important ones. The nurses are the ones who keep everybody alive. And they got to get the doctor off of the golf course and call him and say, hey, this is what's going on out there. Anthony, tell us about the shows that you watch. And I know what you said as far as what inspired you to become, because the scar on your head falling
Right.
and having that trauma. What are some of the shows, or are there examples or people that inspire you?
So my grandmother, she was a RN. My two sisters, they both are kind of in health. My sister right now, she's working in the pharmaceutical. She's in the pharmacy. My other sister, she's working with disabled adults who can't really take care of themselves as well. For my TV shows, oh my gosh, there's so many. The main one that made me interested in the healthcare would probably be Untold Stories of the ER. That's the real one that put me on the path of like, this is cool, I like this.
Interesting. And I mentioned earlier about family members. You know, they're bringing somebody into the emergency room, or you have to go and take care of the patient. They got 100,000 questions that they have to ask you, or they want to ask you. And you've got a lot of patients you have to see during a shift. You've got to be able to more or less weed that out, don't you? Is there conversations about that, and how, you know, you can't get sidetracked, you have to be focused on patient care?
Yeah, I think they see that every day in class with me. Just the students coming up to me, hey, I need this, hey, I need this, hey, what's this question, hey, what's that? So I think they see that from the schooling side of things, but I think it also applies to the nursing side of things. How do you prioritize?
You ever have to say, Nicole, you're going to have to be quiet over there. We've got a bleeder here, stat. No?
There was one time where you had to go help someone down in the...
Yeah,
they cut their fingers.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
That
I'm
happens all the
occasionally the
time.
school nurse.
Oh, well,
Yes.
that's good.
Yeah.
That always works out as well. So we want to wish you luck and success in what you have chosen to do here. And hopefully you'll continue along the path. And we'll be able to see, well, I hope we don't have to see you in the hospital anytime soon. But there are so many different avenues to it, as we've talked about already. And we haven't even mentioned St. Barnabas, you know, our sponsor of the program. And they have facilities in Beaver Meadows up there. They've got the campus in Gibsonia. They've got home health and hospice care and so many other aspects of it. So basically the world is your oyster once you get through all the testing and everything like that, and careers, and I don't always like to say money to be made, but you mentioned pharmaceuticals, and you know there's a good career ahead of you financially and as far as what your mission is and what your discipline is. So we thank you so much for doing it. We wish you success in continuing on. And thank you, Nicole, for bringing them in here. And Beaver Valley Career and Technical, they can contact the school and see about the next semester.
Yeah, next year.
Okay, very good. Thank you all. Good luck to you.
Thank
you for having
Get
us.
your stethoscope out. I'm Mike Romigh. This is the Best of Beaver County radio show on the St. Barnabas Radio Network. Stay healthy and be safe.
When you think about retirement, what images come to mind? Why not let yourself imagine enjoying an exceptional retirement lifestyle at the Village at St. Barnabas in Gibsonia? Attainable luxury can become yours because the Village has no large upfront fees and it's based on a simple annual no-risk contract. The only decision to make is when to move in. Call 724-443-0700 or click stbarnabashealthsystem.com.
Thank you for listening to the Best of Beaver County. St. Barnabas is pleased to have provided content and sponsorship for the program. Tune in this Sunday at 11:30 for an encore presentation of today's program on Beaver County Radio. And next Thursday at 11 for another edition of the Best of Beaver County on WBVP, WMBA, and 99.3 FM.